What's going on, people? Another day, another update, and this time it's on Eze. And plus, we're going to be talking about the manager situation and more. But before we do get started, I just want to say thank you to every single one of you that's been tuning in, watching on replay, watching it live, and hitting the like button and subscribing. It's been much appreciated. The channel has been growing fantastically over the past month or so. So thank you to every single one of you. If you do enjoy this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe as well. It takes a second of your time and helps us out massively. Today, I'm joined by Nick here. Nick, how you doing,
right,
man?
I'm good. I'm glad you had a good holiday. I've noticed that you've kind of taken all the Palace paraphernalia from behind you. It's like you're ashamed now to actually admit. I've still got me Palace top on here, but yeah, your scarves have disappeared. Did you give them out to Moroccan kids or something?
Nah. You know what? I've noticed it, but I haven't done anything about it. I don't know where it is. Actually, I do know where the scarf is. Scarf is in my car because I took it for the Arsenal game, but I didn't wear it. I was gonna give it to someone, and yeah, so that's where the scarf is. But to be fair, I mean, right now taking the scarf off, it kind of pretty much sums up where Palace are as well. I mean, there isn't really much to us as it stands, and yeah, you just see my wardrobe without a scarf this time around. Because, you know, Nick, when you look at our injury situation, when you look at our current situation, geez, it's a headache. It is a headache. I don't know how you feel about it, but every other day, I know there's updates here and there, but it's so draining if supporting this football club right now, anyways.
And what's draining about it is the sheer amount of crap and bullshit and half truths and possibly truths. And we just don't know, and it's really hard to disseminate all this information coming at you through social media. I've read on Twitter that one of the chairmen is leaking stuff to one journalist, and another chairman's leaking stuff to another journalist, and that might all be complete crap. You just don't know. I mean, I always remember Parish interview when he said 95% of the stuff in the paper is rubbish, and I think I believe him.
Yeah, but I kind of believe the fact that there are different information being spread because of different sources at the club. And to be fair, the way that we're being run right now, the rumors that's been coming out, the interviews that's been coming out, it kind of does make sense if we have different sources saying different things, because it kind of shows where we're at. I mean, we can't seem like we can agree on things at the very top, and that's the most frustrating thing about it. But look, there are more news out today, and I don't think there should be any lies about injuries. I don't know what we would gain out of lying about injuries. And let's start off with the Eze situation before we talk about the manager. And there's an update today. Of course, Eze, he's been out injured after the Sheffield United game. We weren't quite too sure how long it's going to be. According to the chief reporter of the Daily Mail, he's said the following, that Eze is expected to be out between 2 to 3 weeks after the hamstring injury he suffered versus Sheffield United. Nick, another injury concern, 2 to 3 weeks. Within them weeks, I'll list some of the games that we've got coming up. We've got Chelsea, of course, Everton, and potentially Burnley. I mean, these are massive games that is missing, especially the Everton and Burnley game.
Yeah, those are the games that you need them in. That said, 2-3 weeks, how realistic is that? Because then you've got to give them time to come back in, and also the fact that they just get injured again if they're not given enough time to get fit. I mean, it looks so innocuous against Sheffield United. I think everybody thought that they were precautionary to take them off in that game, and the way Eze speaking was that everything was fine and dandy. So it was a bit of a shock to hear about. I don't know whether it's a muscle tear or a muscle strain. I've seen both reported. That's what I'm saying about social media, and until you hear it from the horse's mouth, it's and the horse's mouth is Roy, and I don't really listen to what he's got to say anymore.
That's the problem.
He's just dissing the kids. Yeah. But look, let's just hope it's serendipitous that we have to bring younger players in, and they actually do an AWB and turn out to be mustard, or you know, we shall see.
This is the thing. I mean, if we were facing, let's say, Tottenham, and then one of the top teams, the Cities and Tottenham, then you would say, Well, we're not expecting to pick up points against those sides anyways. But when you're
I've
missing
got to
elite,
stop you there. I've got to stop you there because we can't be having that attitude. If that's coming through to us fans, that's coming from the manager. Gary Lineker famously said, "A fish." Well, it wasn't famous; it's just on a podcast. A fish rots from the head, and football clubs are like that. And it may take a few years for the shit to filter down, but if it's not right at the top, then it's going to permeate through to the bottom. And Man United is your case in point there. It might steady itself a bit with this gym bloke that's gone in there, but that's filtered down to the pitch. Look how strong they were when they just had, before the Glaziers, when they just had Ferguson and Martin Edwards. It was simple. There weren't all these people to please. Now we're in $1 billion industry, and Parish, bless him, is just trying to get money from here, there, and everywhere, and it's sort of blown up in his face a little bit. You know, it's. I know we're going to talk about managers in a bit, but let's carry on with the injuries. I hope that Parish has said to Roy, look, you know, was there the famous car park where Parish spoke with one of the managers and said we got to change the way we play after a game, and we did. We tried a different way.
If you're doing that, Nick, you're basically questioning the manager. And if you're questioning the manager, why is that manager there? Because clearly you're not having faith in him, right? If you're telling the manager we should be playing this player or that player, that just shows a lack of faith. We can't expect Parish to do that. Let's be realistic.
He's in charge, even though he's only got 10%. He seems to be the one in charge.
He's in charge, but then you hire a manager for a reason. See, Parish is not running the training sessions. He hasn't got the coach. He's not part of the coaching team. So if
but he's going to be talking to the players.
Manager, then you don't have that manager at your football club. You know, you can't go to a manager and say I want him to play, and I don't think he will. You can't do that. And if that was the case, and I'm pretty sure Arsenal would be having more minutes, for example.
No, well, you got to. It was Dougie at Bristol away in 2012. Thank you for that, JEJH 2018. I had a feeling it was Bristol, but yeah, good stuff. Yeah, but he's got to change something, and if he ain't going to change the manager, I don't know. But it's a shocking state of affairs to be in as a football club. But we forget we're not the only ones. Every club has got problems, apart from those right at the top. You look at Bradford, there's big problems at Bradford at the moment. The fans are up in arms. Every club has got it. QPR, who I'd suppose would see themselves on a par with us, maybe 10 years ago, we'd have kind of been the same sort of size club. The crap they're going through, every club's got it. So we're not special in this respect, but where we are special is the way we're running it. It's just, who knows what to believe.
Yeah, I can't speak about Bradford or QPR because I mean we're right now we're in different levels to them, and our situation is different. And you know we kind of know our problems to a certain extent, so I don't know about their problems. But when you look at the Eze injury concerns and him missing potentially both the Everton and the Burnley game, who do you bring in? Eze out, Elise out against Chelsea, potentially against Everton and Burnley, depending on when he returns. Who comes in for Eze? Look, yesterday we spoke about Elise.
Let's talk about the whole team. You've got Chris Richards will drop back into defence, and I'm quite happy with that because when I've seen him play centre back, he's normally been pretty good. Whether playing in different positions will have upset his game a bit, I don't know, but at least he's had that game time and can last the 90 minutes. That's really important. So we've got a ready slot in for Gay. Who would cover for Anderson or Richards if one of them was to go? I don't know, because Rob Holding's still a couple of weeks off. Then you're talking about the midfield. I think it was good that Walton got brought on, and I think that's actually going to make Roy play well. He's going to have no choice but to play him more because he just hasn't got the players there. But Eze, it depends what Eze you want. The Eze number 10 behind the striker or the Eze on the wing. Because if you want the Eze on the wing, then you've got either França or if it's the number 10, then who can slot in there, do you think? Could
look, I'll give you the options. Some of the options. Will Hughes has been playing as a number 10. I don't think he's a number 10. Ahamada could play there. França could play there. So with Eze out, we've got some important games. who do you think should be playing in that role?
Well, I'd pick Francis just because of how he played when he came on. When we in about the 64th minute, we had the team on that most of us wanted to start with at the weekend, didn't we? Other than Gay being swapped with Richards because Gay went off injured. And we actually looked like we wanted to take the game to them. Okay, 3-0 down. They're going to take the foot off the pedal a little bit. But we actually looked like we could do something with those kids. Just if Chelsea is such a hard team, make it a free hit. And that's what really annoys me is we're talking about the hard games, but Luton are taking the games to other teams. They're taking the game to the other team now. Yeah, but Roy won't do that. So whatever we talk about, who we'd have, we know it's going to be Schlupp. We know it's going to be Hughes. We know Ayew's going to be in the pitch. Mateta will be up top, and Munoz at right back, perhaps. But yeah, and Schlupp will be in there. And what really riles me is Schlupp. He does come up and score goals when you least expect it, like in a very rare win against Burnley. You know,
Yeah,
it's an important goal, and he has scored important goals throughout his career.
Yeah, he should have started.
Why is the gaffer slagging off Walton for that little mistake when Schlupp has been wandering around the pitch, looking knackered after coming on after 10 minutes, and he's not getting coated? I just don't understand it. At least if you're going to criticise players publicly, which I don't agree with, then at least sort of even it out a bit and criticise ones that need to be criticised. You see what I'm saying there, D? It's just
and that's where we need. That's why change is needed. That's why change is needed. And we're going to be talking about a manager situation because there is a bit of an update on that today as well. They were saying Ahamada should be playing instead of Eze. Let us know in the chat what you think. Who should replace Eze now that he's going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks? Some important games coming up as well, so we haven't got even time to waste. We need to try and get the most out of these upcoming games. JE says, I'd like to see Ahamada given the number 10 role. Good and drives with the ball. He isn't a right wing back and needs a start.
I agree with that.
What was that?
I said I agree with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm completely underwhelmed at seeing who's starting there. 100%. Who's is not number 10. Luis França should be playing in the 10. His most comfortable position, and he's looked exciting as well. So I think that's a fair shout. Luke saying Ahamada, and Mukhtar saying we can't carry Hughes as well. Yeah, for me, look, it's one of the two, and he needs to stop being stubborn. We don't have Elise as well. We don't have Eze or Elise. There is literally no creativity. And we saw it. We saw it against Brighton. There's no creativity there with the players that he prefers to play. He needs to switch it up, especially at home against Chelsea. And then we've got Burnley, we've got Everton. We need to take the game to those teams. Otherwise, they will beat us. Right now, I'm not confident at all. So for me, it has to be one of Ahamada or França. If we are serious, one of those two players will start ahead of Eze because they offer a bit of creativity, which we don't have with Will Hughes as our number 10. But then again, I don't know with this manager whether he'll start those players. I don't know. I mean, Ahamada had one of the best pre-seasons I've seen from any other player in terms of Palace. He was our best player in pre-season. But what happens as soon as the season starts? Barely any minutes. França, whenever he comes on, he looks exciting. He looked exciting against Brighton as well. He has good spells, but what happens? He won't get the start, or he won't get opportunities unless we're 2 goals down, or the game is basically done. And this is the problem. This is the problem, and this is why a lot of people are frustrated with Roy. Yes, the results have been bad. Yes, tactically it's bad, but on top of that, he has a bit of stubbornness. He needs to change that stubbornness, and he needs to give some of these players more opportunities. I just don't understand how and why Will Hughes could potentially in a conversation as a 10 against Chelsea, because he's not number 10, and this is where the issue lies. He's not number 10, and we have got other options that could play there.
In a perfect world, we'd have Lerma and Ozo and Walton maybe in there with França on the wing. I don't know what Walton's like going forward. I know he can play a good through ball, so he needs to be on the pitch, but we haven't got the runners for the through ball unless you start in French Eddie, because we've seen those are the types of goals that Eddie scores. Remember against Fulham last season, perfectly weighted ball. He found it easy to score. All of his goals have been very similar to that, with balls played through along the ground. Walton is a player that can do that. So a lot of it will depend who you're playing up front. Now we know that Mateta can head the ball. He might actually start playing wingers who get the ball in.
Potentially, but that's the thing. Nothing is straightforward. Nothing has been straightforward with this football club for this whole season. It's been a headache. Honestly, it's been a headache. It's draining, because you think one player is playing well, you think, oh, okay, that player's going to get more opportunities. And Roy even talks about França, saying, oh, he hypes him up a bit in pre-match and he talks good about him. Well, he has been recently, but then he doesn't give him any minutes. I don't understand it. His words don't match to his actions. Well, sorry, you was going to say something.
Yeah, and I was going to say, we've done covering the youth. What is potentially worrying for me is Anderson's seeming attitude the last couple of games. Now, he's been to the press and said he'd like to see younger players given a chance, brought in, and he just doesn't seem to buy into what Palace is about. How do you get his head straight? What should Roy be saying to him? Is Roy actually saying anything to him, or is it what Roy is saying to him that's making him go like that?
I spoke about Anderson a bit. I mean, I wasn't on here after the Brighton game because I was abroad, but I saw the videos about him confronting the fans, and I've said it all along. I feel like he's tuned out. I mean, I've watched him in games as well. I've just specifically watched his body language, and he just seems frustrated. He's always seemed frustrated this season. He's not being happy, and you could tell. And of course, he's going to be a bit annoyed. Look, we're not getting results. We're not playing great football. We're conceding goals left, right, centre. So naturally, he will be annoyed. He's showing a bit of emotions there. But I don't know how you get the best out of Anderson. I don't know. It's like asking the same question. How do you get the best out of this side with Roy Hodgson? I think that's the problem. Roy's the problem. I think if you want to get the best out of Anderson, you bring in a manager who actually plays to Anderson's strengths, and then that's how you get the best out of him. Right now, I mean, how many times has Anderson done diagonal balls? I can't count. I don't know. He barely does that. That used to be his trick under Vieira. And he used to work perfectly. He used to give them to Elise or to Zaha. No, it doesn't happen. It's so boring. It's so lame, and I don't think we're getting the best out of him. And he's just naturally frustrated. But I've said it, and I will keep saying it. Right now, as it stands, I think Anderson will be one of the first players sold. And I'll be surprised if he isn't, because I don't think he wants anything right now to do with this football club, and that's due to frustrations, and also he's not young as well. He wants to get the best out of his career. And right now, the way that we're playing, the way that we're set up, the toxic behavior from, of course, us fans, rightly so, because we're frustrated. And also the questions about the manager. He's questioning managers. He spoke about transfers as well. I just think Anderson doesn't want anything to do with Palace, in all honesty. So I think
there's going to be a player spokesman. Is he speaking up for the players? I know he's not the captain, but is he?
Well, yeah,
I don't know.
Well, he's experienced. He's he's older than Gahey as well. But I just don't understand which player in that changing room will be happy. I just refuse to believe it. I've seen a few reports saying the players are behind Roy, but there's nothing that I see on the football pitch, or nothing that I see in general, that makes me think these players are behind Roy Hodgson. Nothing is out there, and there's no evidence of that.
Are we still getting training ground videos, or have they dried up a bit? Because that's usually a sign. If the training ground videos dry up, there's discontent behind the scenes. But you've got to weigh it up. The gamble is, I think, Parish is gambling on Forest and Everton getting more points docked. But the problem with that is, as you said, the way the club is at the moment, you could see players wanting out. And the only way that you're going to turn that around is take the risk of getting a new manager in, hopefully get the new manager bounce. And I'm going to talk about Cooper quick, because I know his name's been mentioned, but
let's talk about the manager situation. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, Cooper. Talking to Forest fans online, Cooper plays the same way as Roy. So I don't think we'd see too much of a difference. That said, as much as we'd like us all to go gung-ho, throw caution to the wind and try and score 3 or 4 goals a game and lose 4-3, in the Pardew type, it's still got to be that balancing act. But you do need a fresh face in there just to change the attitude, because I don't think No, I'm not. I was going to say I'm not sure if Roy gives a shit. He doesn't give a shit about quoting people in public, but I really don't know. I really don't know. But yeah,
Mm.
I think we need a new manager. Who that is, I
Yeah,
don't
and
know. But you've got some options there, D.
yeah, exactly. And I think you made a very good point. If we want to keep some of these players, or if we want these players to be excited about Crystal Palace again, then you sold them a project. Right now, there is nothing. There is nothing about us that would make any of these players want to stay at Crystal Palace. Literally nothing. I don't understand what we are as a football club, as a fan, let alone as a player. If it's Anderson, Anderson's going to be thinking, well, I know I've got talent. I want to play for a bigger team. Why would I stay at Crystal Palace, who are just trying to stay up every single year? And one of the first steps to do that is you bring in a manager that actually tries to play football, like Vieira did in his first season. He didn't work out in the second season, but like he did in the first season. That's how you get the best out of some of these players. That's where they enjoy the football. That's where the fans actually enjoyed watching Palace. Look at some of the videos of Vieira in his first season, and you're thinking, we didn't win every single game, and there's games that we've lost. And it was a bit frustrating. I remember, I think it was the first season, right, Nick, when we went Leeds away and we lost by a penalty.
In the 3rd minute of injury time, and we got home at 4 a.m.
Yeah, 4 a.m. It was frustrating. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to act like, oh, I was happy that we lost 1-0 against Leeds, but there was still something to look forward to. I was still looking forward to Crystal Palace because I know that the next game that we're going to play, we're going to try set up in a way to try and win the game. That's what it was like in Vieira's first season. I think that's what we want as Palace fans, to try and set up to win the game and have that unity between the manager and also the players as well. So I think it all comes down to that, Nick. And right now we don't have that, and I think the players are noticing that as well. And it just everyone is frustrated at the club from the top to the bottom.
Right. Question for you, D. If we said, some people will agree, some people will disagree, that the Premier League is, if not the top, but one of the top leagues in the world, yeah? Top 3 leagues in the world. It's shown all over the world. It's got prestige. So why the hell won't any managers seemingly want to come to us? If they want to, if you want to reach the pinnacle or get towards the pinnacle of your career, part of that step has got to be managing a Premier League team. Whether that's a stepping stone to be able to manage another Premier League team, I don't know. But why do we not seem to be able to get the people in? Is it money? Is it what's happened with previous managers when they've left and what they've said? I mean, we don't know what managers say to each other that they don't say to the press. They must all get together. I don't know whether there's a manager's Christmas do or whatever, where they all go out together and chat shit about football.
I think they all got
but the stories will get out on the football grapevine. And again, I might be 100% wrong here, but it is feasible that the word on the street, word on the grapevine is Palace is a shit club to be a manager for because of the way it's set up, the way it is run, and just the whole ownership structure.
Yeah, let's quickly talk about the manager situation. And the update today is that once again, this was an article that released the information about Eze's injury. He's going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks, which I suspect he might miss the Everton and the Burnley game, which is going to be huge games for us, for Eze and Elise to miss. But in the article, it also mentioned about the manager situation, and this is from the Daily Mail, that McKenna is admired by Palace, but with his current club in the midst of a championship promotion fight, there are doubts over whether he would be prepared to leave Portman Road to replace Roy Hodgson immediately.
Haven't they lost the last 7 games, Ipswich?
What was that?
Haven't they lost their last 7 games or something?
I think they've been struggling recently. Yeah, you're right. I think they've been struggling recently. I don't know if they've lost their last 7. No, they haven't lost their last 7 games. They lost their recent game against Preston North End, lost against Mason United. I think they were sitting second in the table. Now they're 4th. So, yeah, I mean, it's tight.
They're on a slump.
Southampton and Leeds are above them now. Look, McKenna has been one of those managers that a lot of Palace fans have wanted at the club ever since he's been mentioned. If you're McKenna, or would you be on the same wavelength in terms of wait till the end of season then take over? I guess that makes the most logical sense, doesn't it? But right now, Nick. We need someone to come in immediately because we don't know if it will be a Premier League football club next season. Some people may be confident, but I ain't anymore. I ain't because from what I've seen so far, I mean, there isn't any indication that we're going to pick up enough points to stay up. Right now, the reason why we're not down there or even lower is because of points deduction.
Just to decide, Martin Cannings has put in the comments, it's a shit show for sure. I hope he's talking about Palace and not us.
That's but I forgot what I was saying.
Sorry, mate.
I was talking about McKenna. Are you a fan of
McKenna?
And do you understand why he would maybe want to join Palace?
To be honest, I haven't watched much of Ipswich, but I've heard good things about him, about getting the squad going. But I don't know. Can you trust a manager who's had a slump? I mean, but the weird thing is, Brighton have got the same record as us, 4 wins in 17 games. And yet the perspective, all right, I know they're still in Europe and whatever, and a little bit higher up the league. But if you look at it on paper, I still think we'll be all right to stay up just about if they get the points. Now, I can kind of see holding on to, I can see why you'd hold on till the end of the season. But the fans ain't going to like it. And it is turning really, really toxic. And it might just be the point of no return for Roy. I'd be interested to see how many people turn up on Monday and what their attitude is, or whether it'll be right, look, we want Palace to win, let's get behind the team regardless. Let's just put that all to one side at the moment. So yeah, back to McKenna. I've heard lots of good things about him. But from Palace fans who 90% of them don't know what they're talking about. No offense to anybody, but we don't know what we're talking about half the time, do we, D? So it's
yeah. It's this is the problem though, Nick. 4 wins in 17. We only lost 4 in that time as well. It's not talking about Palace because we've definitely lost more than 4 games. Maybe talking about Ipswich potentially. But yeah, look. Look, he's one of those managers that's gonna try and play football. That's the most basic side of his game, which I think a lot of Palace fans will buy into after what we saw against Vieira. So that's a pro. But look, if he ain't him, Nick, and you're talking about Steve Cooper being another Roy, then is there anyone out there for you that's convincing? Wouldn't you take Cooper regardless of how his football is, just for a new manager bounce? Because I don't know. You say that you think we'll stay up. Maybe we
only by the skin of our teeth.
But I'm not confident, Nick. I'm not confident because I just look at how we're playing. I look at the results as well. We're not. It's very hard for us, and the games that we do win in, Eze and Elise are involved, and we're not going to have Elise for another 2 months. And we've got some important games coming. I just don't know how we pick up points. I don't know.
A lot of teams below us. There aren't many teams below us, but teams will go on bad runs. It's the nature of football. Yeah. So
we're not on a bad run. Come on, let's admit that this is bigger than a bad run. This is. I mean, how many games? How many wins have we got? I'm gonna try to calculate it whilst you're talking, but this ain't a bad run. Come on, Nick. This is worse than a bad run. It's not like the last 10 games or so. We're talking about 20 plus games, 25 plus games. In a season, there's 38 games.
Yeah, not wishing to inflict an Eze pun on everybody, but it ebbs and flows. See what I did there? And I can see teams just above us. Brentford are having a bad time. Seem to be slipping down the table a bit. Luton are very up and down. They're still not winning as many as they're losing. Do you know what I mean? And we'll get a freak result like we do every season, I feel. How many points do you think we'll need? 35? Or is it going to be lower than that this season?
I don't know, because Everton's points deduction, you could also get reversed. Like, we don't even know yet because they've appealed for it. So we don't even know how many points that we'll need. But this is the problem. I mean, we're talking about 35 or so, but how many? I just don't see us picking that many points.
But we we do need a change because we've got a flipping goalkeeping coach on set piece training. I mean, no offense to goalkeepers out there, but you're more intent. Maybe you're making them take free kicks so the goalie can get it. I don't know, but surely you've got to have a specialist. And I've seen people like mention Jedinak in the chat as a possible manager coming from Tottenham. That's a big risk. You're going to have somebody with managerial experience, which is why I think perhaps Dougie would be a good person with somebody next to him.
But then this is the problem I have with Dougie. I mean, we've got a big summer coming up. We've got, even in this current moment of time, I don't know exactly how much, but he's involved in the transfers, the scouting, and all of that stuff. How can Dougie balance both? I don't want.
Yeah, this is true. That's a good point.
This is the problem that I have. I mean, we talk about Dougie as a manager, but let's not forget that Dougie's heavily involved with the transfers, all them side of things, and we could have a massive summer if we sold the likes of Elise or Gahey or one of these players that we need to make sure we have the replacements all lined up and sorted. Everything's perfect. Now, how is he going to be running, being a manager and also doing that at the same time? Like, I don't think that's even a possibility, and I don't think Parish is going to change that right now because it's going to hurt us in other ways that we won't expect. So I don't think Doug is a realistic option right now, in all honesty.
Yeah.
If you think Jedi is the guy, go get him. No, not taking risks is how we got here. I don't know if Jedi is the guy. I'll be honest, people. I don't think he is. Look, then again, we're talking about people that's just here in this country or people that we know. There are managers abroad. Like, it doesn't have to be a manager that's managed in this country. It doesn't have to be. If we don't have the options, if these managers don't want to come to us, it's on us to look abroad. I don't understand why it's always the same 3-4 names. Like McKenna, great. He sounds great. But if he doesn't want to come to us right now, we need a manager right now. You go find someone like him abroad. That's the solution. I mean, this is the people, they're employed. They're earning good money. The people at the football club, they're earning very good money. It's on them to go find a manager. This is what tires me. I don't think there's a manager out there, a single manager out there that wouldn't take the Palace job. That is BS. Of course, there are managers out there. But the point is, the managers that we want right now, maybe they don't want to come to Palace. What do? You go find other managers.
I mean, how many
solutions?
Wasn't Vieira 8th in our list or something silly like that?
Yeah, Vieira was one of the last. Vieira was a gamble. I mean, there were so many managers interviewed before Vieira. It was a gamble.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know what the out of work managers list is for overseas managers as well. I haven't actually looked at it because I was sort of lastminute.com invited on tonight, so I haven't really done any research. But I think it's, as I said earlier, it's either word's got around about the way the club's run, or Parish isn't offering enough money. Perhaps he needs to offer a ridiculous staying up bonus just to get somebody in, and then they can run off like Tony Pulis did.
Exactly.
Then maybe that's why he's not doing it, because of Pulis running off for the money.
And James is saying if everything gets points rescinded, which is very likely, Luton continue to collect points. You guys are in real danger of going down without your two best players for sure. So Nick, just to confirm, are you not worried about relegation at all?
No, because the world is still spinning, and I'll still go and watch Palace, and I'll have a few different away games to go to. And in the great scheme of things, football doesn't really matter that much. But from a Palace perspective, Parish is shit scared of going down because the parachute payments aren't that good. He doesn't want to go down. And if you believe all the stuff about others in the boardroom want Roy gone, then I think perhaps we might see a change. But the longer it goes on, the worse it's getting. So I just don't know if we'll go down or not. There's too many variables this year. It's more of a possibility than I once thought it was. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and let's see what happens with McKenna as well. But that's the latest, anyways. We have sounded out McKenna, but we're not too sure if he will join us due to what's going on at Ipswich right now. But look, people, we're going to wrap it up here. If you're just joining us now, make sure to watch the full show from the start after we end. If you have enjoyed this, if you can like the video and subscribe if you're new here to see more Palace content, make sure to do that. And thanks to Nick, thanks to every single one of you that's joined us live tonight. We'll be back maybe tomorrow with another update. We'll see what this football club is injured next. But until then, up the Palace and keep safe, people.